Hi everyone, hope you're doing well today. So in this video, we're going to talk about an example known as Hilbert's Hotel that's going to seem detached from any discussion of philosophy of religion, but it's going to play a big role in one of the articles we read that gives an argument for God's existence. It's the example of Hilbert's Hotel. So in this video, we're just going to start out with a sort of analogous example using an ordinary hotel. Then we'll introduce the weirdness that is Hilbert's Hotel. We'll show how it leads to two absurdities. Then we'll briefly talk about how this might be connected to philosophy of religion. And so imagine the following ordinary hotel. It has 100 rooms, and each room can only hold one guest, so that's its maximum occupancy. And each room is currently occupied by the maximum one guest. So here's a question. Is there any room for new guests to check into this hotel? Again, assuming that nobody checks out. Everybody who's already there has to stay there. The answer is, of course not. A fully occupied hotel can't have room for another guest. All right, without building new rooms, obviously. All right, well, now, imagine Hilbert's Hotel. This hotel is special in the following fact. It has an infinite number of rooms, not just 100. But yet again, each of those rooms has a maximum capacity of one guest. Moreover, it's still the case that every room is already occupied by the maximum one guest. So every room in the hotel is already at max capacity. So there's an infinite number of guests already occupying those infinite number of rooms. So it looks like this. There's one person in room 1, one person in room 2, one person in room 3, one person in room 4, all the way on to an infinity. The rooms go on to infinity, but each of them is already fully occupied with a person inside it. Here's a question. Given that there's all these rooms, but each and every single one already has a person in it, is there any room for a new guest to check into Hilbert's Hotel? Yet again, without kicking anybody out. Now, the answer here is yes. The clerk just needs to have each of the current guests move to a new room number by taking their current room number and adding 1. So that person in room number 1, well, they just move to room number 2. The person in room number 2 moves to room 3. The person in room 3 moves to room 4. The idea is, well, there's always a room number 1 bigger than yours since there's an infinite number of rooms. And so there will be a room. So everybody that's already in the hotel will get a new room. But now room number 1 will be empty. And so there's room for that one new guest, even though every single room was already occupied. The example gets weirder. Imagine a bus filled with an infinite number of passengers pulls up to Hilbert's Hotel. Does the hotel have room for all the passengers? Yet again, the answer is yes. All the current guests, in order to make room for all the current guests without, yet again, kicking anybody out, what you need to do is you assign everybody who's already at the hotel a new room as follows. Their new room number is equal to their current room number multiplied by 2. So the person in room number 1, well, 1 times 2 is 2, so they go to room 2. The person in room 2, well, 2 times 2 is 4, so they go to room 4. The person in room 3, well, 3 times 2 is 6, so they go to room 6. Now, as you keep doing this, you'll notice this will leave all the odd-numbered rooms empty. And so now, how many odd numbers are there? An infinite amount of odd numbers. And so there's an infinite amount of rooms for the infinite amount of guests that showed up on that bus. All right, so in this example, there seem to be two absurdities. The first is that there's a hotel that's completely full. Every room in the hotel is entirely occupied, but it still has room for one more guest. Absurdity number 2 is the hotel is completely full. There's no empty rooms. Every room is fully occupied, but it still has room for infinite many more guests. That seems like it just doesn't make any sense. How could it be fully occupied if there's still more room? All right. So, what does this weird, crazy thought experiment have to do with arguments for the existence of God? Well, Craig thinks that this example shows that there can't be anything that's actually infinite. And Craig will use that idea as support for the conclusion that there must be a first cause of the universe. Now, presumably, God is a good candidate for this first cause. So that's the kind of argument and reasoning that we're going to look at next time. See you then. Bye-bye.